who pulled up for a catch-up. It's really here from 947 Afternoons. And if you're here, it means you've got taste. Go ahead, enjoy the moment you missed. But don't ghost me. Weekdays, 12 to 3 p.m. on 947. I'm loud and way more fun in real time. And yeah, there's more audio magic waiting for you right here on Prime Media Plus. 947 Drive with Thando.
So the story of Dr Nandipha Magudumana continues to raise really difficult questions about justice, state power, and the lengths that authorities can go to in bringing fugitives back to South Africa. So today, the Crown Court heard arguments in Magudumana's challenge to returning her, or how they returned her from Tanzania, following, of course, that dramatic Thabo Bester escape saga, right?
Yes.
Her legal team is basically insisting that what the state describes as a lawful deportation was, in fact, an unlawful extradition disguised as something else. The matter only revisits one of the country's most sensational crime cases, but also puts South Africa's handling of cross-border law enforcement under intense legal scrutiny. And my thing is, of all, the issues and the problems that we have as a nation, or that she has, right?
Yes.
For the crimes that were committed.
Yes.
How is the extradition the one thing that she's challenging? So in just a bit, we'll speak to EWN reporter Kgomotso Modise, giving us that story, big story of Nandipha Magudumana, who's challenging her extradition from Tanzania. Joining us now on the line is EWN reporter Kgomotso Modise. Kgomotso, what stood out the most from the proceedings today?
Well, Thando, really at the heart of the matter here in court is whether or not Dr. Nandipha Magudumana was lawfully deported from Tanzania. You may remember that it was in April 2023 where Magudumana and Thabo Bester were found in Tanzania in Arusha, and a process then followed to have them brought back into South Africa, where they would then face the law. And her lawyers were basically arguing that the process that was followed was not a lawful one. Number one, they insist that the process was actually an extradition in disguise and not a deportation, as the authorities want us to believe. They also highlight the fact that Magudumana had not been informed. If it would have been an extradition, they would have had to go through informing her.
How?
But they also...
She was running.
Wow. Wow. My sister.
And really the idea here is that the authorities are saying that this was a deportation, and for that very reason that you say, right? The fact that she was a fugitive, she was on the run, and it was the Tanzanian authorities that decided to do this through deportation and not necessarily extradition. I think another big point here, Thando, today has been around what the police were doing in Tanzania during that arrest. And that's because South African police do not have jurisdiction to act outside of the borders of South Africa. And Magudumana's lawyers have asked and have basically said that she was clearly being arrested in Tanzania by South African police, which is not lawful. And that's where they say that this whole process was unlawful. They also point out that Home Affairs officials from South Africa were in Tanzania, and they too have no jurisdiction to act in Tanzania, and that's all part of their unlawfulness argument.
So in essence, she's arguing that, sure, I might have done some illegal activity in South Africa, but South Africans have no jurisdiction to arrest me if I am not in South Africa.
Yeah, well, I mean, she's not going into the merits of the criminal case at all. What she's saying is, if you are going to be bringing me back to South Africa to face the might of the law, you need to do that lawfully. And her lawyers have been arguing that this might be the price that South African authorities in South Africa may have to pay for failing to follow its own law and follow its own processes. And I want to point out that an argument and a question that was asked by one of the justices, that's Justice Savage, she asked, under what law did Tanzanian authorities hand Magudumana and Thabo Bester over to South African authorities? What law was relied upon in that process? And the lawyers for Home Affairs struggled to answer that, Thando. I mean, they said that it's clear that they had relied on Tanzanian law, but again, South Africans cannot necessarily rely on Tanzanian law and act according to Tanzanian law. They should also be acting according to South African law, or at least international law.
We'll continue following the story. Kgomotso, thank you so much. That's the EWN reporter Kgomotso Modise.
947 Drive with Thando.